Yeah, so once you've clicked on, I think it was finish or next, you would have your IntelliJ screen looking the way it is now. So you will get this window, and I'm going to take you through the settings part, which is where you obviously need to make a couple of changes in your settings, maybe like change the font, the way the screen is looking from either black to white, or you need to install any plugins or anything like that. But I usually recommend people not to make any changes they don't really understand without asking a QA mentor for help or explanation on things. So I think if you're using Windows, you should see either settings or preferences at the top of your screen. But if you're using a Mac, you need to click on IntelliJ IDEA, then click on settings. So this is basically like the settings section. I hope everyone can see the settings pop up, where we have appearances, new UI, menu and toolbars, system settings, and all the rest. But the one I'm going to show you is the appearance. So if you want to change the theme of your screen to either IntelliJ Light, it will change back to white, and then you click on OK. Or if you want to change the settings to the eye contrast, you can click on eye contrast, then click on OK as well. Well, I like my dark theme, so I'm going to stick to the dark theme and click on OK and go back to the settings. And the next important bit that you'll be using is the plugin part. So the plugins, the two major plugins we need are Cucumber for Java and Gherkin. So normally when you are a first-time user, you can see we have Marketplace and we have Installed. So your Installed for a first-time user would not have Cucumber for Java and Gherkin, but in order to look for them, you need to go to the Marketplace. So you would not have these two, but you would have every other thing. And I always recommend, please do not tamper with them. Just leave them the way they are. And the only thing you need to do is to come to the Marketplace and search for Cucumber for Java and Gherkin. So we are going to type here, and we're going to type Cucumber for Java. You can see there are different cucumbers for Scala, Kotlin, and all the rest, but we need one for Java. Oh, this one. So Cucumber for Java, you can see it's already ticked. So that means I have it installed. But if you do not have it installed, you will see install on the side, and all you need to do is to click on the install button, and it's basically going to download it on your IntelliJ. You only need to do this once. Once you've done it once, every time you open your IntelliJ, you don't have to be downloading the plugins every single time because you have it installed already. So once you've done that, once you've installed the Cucumber, you'll be prompted to restart your IntelliJ. Please click on the restart button, or you can just quit the app and click on it again. So once you've done the one for Cucumber for Java, you need to do the one for Gherkin as well. Gherkin. And because I've got it installed, it's been ticked. But if you don't have it installed, you would have the install button like this next to this place, and all you need to do is click on install, and it's basically going to download it for you. I think you see the line, there's going to be a line moving up until the end, and then you'll be prompted to restart your IntelliJ again. Please do that. So those are like the major things that you potentially need in your settings at the very beginning and all of those things. So I think the other thing I'm going to cover now is a bit on Gherkin and also Selenium WebDriver as well, just like the basic understanding of what Selenium is, because I know someone asked me in my team meeting yesterday. So I'm just going to touch a bit on Selenium and Gherkin also. I know Gherkin is going to be focused on more later on within the training, but Selenium, I don't think it would be. So I'm just going to take us through what Selenium is and just a little bit of bits and bobs about it as well. So I know a couple of people may or may not have heard about Selenium. So what do we understand by Selenium, or what is Selenium? So it is one of the most important automation tool that is out there, and it provides the compatibility to automate user actions on a web application, and it is fully open sourced as well. So when we also hear the word Selenium, what is it all about? So it's a set of open source web automation tool that leverages the power of WebDriver and helps in automating workflow of how users interact with the web application within the browser. And it is not just an automation tool, and all the different components can either be used individually or paired together. So this image here is basically showing us like the various components of the Selenium suite. You can see the Selenium IDE, Selenium Grid, Selenium RC, and also the Selenium WebDriver, which is what we are going to be using. We're going to be using the Selenium WebDriver. So the Selenium IDE is just an extension that is available for both Firefox and Chrome, and it has the ability to, it has the record and replay functionality available for that. So it's also like the IntelliJ IDE. This is also the Selenium IDE, but we won't be using that. So the Selenium RC is just a server that acts as a middleman between the user and the browser that they need to interact with. And the RC uses JavaScript to work with browsers while it's doing like the interaction for the user. And when we come to the Selenium WebDriver, and it is considered to be the most commonly used component of Selenium, and the WebDriver allows users to write custom codes in their language of choice, either Java, C#, JavaScript, whichever one you want to use. And it also allows the users to interact with the browsers of their choice as well, and the likes. And when we come to the Selenium Grid, this basically allows users to run tests on different machines with different browsers and operating systems simultaneously. Right. So we're going to just look at some of the usefulness or importance of Selenium as a whole. So this graph or this image is just basically showing us a short summary of the importance or usefulness of Selenium. And then we have, like I mentioned before, it is an open source application or tool, and it is free for download and use. You don't need to pay for it, just like the IntelliJ IDE as well. And then we have the multiple browsers. So Selenium can work on all browser types. You name it, Chrome, it can work on Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, Internet Explorer. You just need to specify the browser that you want to use to run your test inside your code in IntelliJ. And the same goes for the operating system also. It supports all the different operating systems, and the major ones being Windows, Mac, and Linux. And then we have the multiple framework. So Selenium supports framework with all like Maven, TestNG, Mocha, NUnit, and also CI tools like Jenkins, CircleCI, GitLab, and all of those things. So all the keywords I'm using, you will definitely have a knowledge of them later on along the line as well. And then we have multiple programming languages. So Selenium supports a lot of programming language, like I mentioned before, Java, C#, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, amongst others, just to name a few. And then we also have web-based automated testing. So Selenium, sorry about that. So Selenium is basically can be obviously used. We are using it. We're going to be using it for our automation tests. So it is a web-based automated test. So anything that has to do with like websites that you basically access with a URL, you basically use Selenium to test all of those. So basically, in a nutshell, the major things you need to know about Selenium is that it is an all-purpose web application, web automation tool that caters to the needs of web application automation, which is what we are doing. And then it is a suite of other tools, like it has the WebDriver, IDE, RC, and the Grid. And it is one of the most popular, and the Selenium WebDriver is also the most popular tool in the Selenium suite as well. And it can also is obviously compatible with other programming languages, like I mentioned, and operating system also. So that was just all I was going to cover on Selenium. And I did mention Gherkin previously, so I'm just going to touch a bit on Gherkin. So one of the plugins that we installed in IntelliJ is Gherkin, and Gherkin is basically like a set of keywords that you really need to use when you're writing your automation code. Keywords like features, scenario, given, when, then, and they all have, we have scenario outlines as well, background, example. So they all have their usefulness and when you need to use them in your code as well. But Gherkin basically means a set of keywords that are basically needed to write your code, like syntaxes basically. And the reason why we installed the plugin is because we need that to be compatible with what we are going to be writing. Because if you don't have, so I'm going to show you a previous project that I have so you can see what I mean. This is it. Right, is that about? Right, so assuming I don't have Gherkin installed in my IntelliJ, you can see features, scenario, given, and all the other ones are in orange. If I don't have Gherkin installed, it's going to be white, and you'll be like running your tests. You'll be wondering why nothing is happening, but it's because you don't have the plugin needed or the plugin that is compatible with what you're writing. So Gherkin is definitely important. It's one of the most important plugins you need to have installed. And yeah, so Gherkin is going to be covered later on down the line shortly when we are creating feature files, step definitions, and all the other things. So yeah, so I think I'm just going to stop here tonight and just use the rest of the time to cover questions or anything anyone has got for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any question? I know we don't really have questions now, but I'm just asking. But I know that when people definitely watch the recording, they would have questions flooding into the group chat, which is good. So if you do have questions while you're watching the video, you can just post them in the QA Guild group chat and we will get that answered. But I'm also open to answering questions on the call now as well.